Hey guys, what's up? It's Kevin Schroff, and today I'll be reviewing the iPhone 7 in the context of 2021. The Apple iPhone 7 was released back in September of 2016, and despite being visually similar to past iPhone designs, the iPhone 7 brought along with it several improvements and major changes that modernized the device. The iPhone 7 was the device that ushered in the no headphone jack era of smartphones, something which was a very contentious and controversial part of the phone back in 2016. The iPhone 7 was also the first waterproof and dustproof iPhone, and the first iPhone with stereo speakers. Essentially, the iPhone 7 is the refinement and completed evolution of the design originally introduced with the iPhone 6. Speaking of design, the iPhone 7's body consists of a 7000 series aluminum back and frame, and a glass front equipped with Gorilla Glass equivalent protection. The front of the device features symmetrical bezels with the handset speaker and front-facing camera at the top, and the redesigned home button on the bottom. Subjectively, the device looks and feels very sleek in the hand, partly thanks to the svelte 7.1mm thickness of the device, and the top-notch materials and design language. In the center of the front is the display, a 4.7-inch IPS panel capable of up to 625 nits peak brightness, and a resolution of 1334 by 750. The panel is vibrant, it has great saturation, contrast, and even surprisingly has deep black levels for a non-OLED panel. Sharpness is also great. At 4.7 inches, 1334 by 750 gives this display a nice PPI of around 326. This means text is clear and graphics and UI look crisp, even when looking at the display up close. The display also features 3D Touch, a technology that brings pressure sensitivity to the iPhone. Some people swear by this feature and miss its removal from newer iPhones. However, I personally have not found much use for it, and have found it sometimes difficult to understand the difference between iOS actions on a long press versus a 3D Touch pressure press. Perhaps this is something I will discover more about the more familiar I become with iOS. Coming over to the back of the device, we're presented with a beautiful matte finish and simple Apple branding. At the top, we can spot the 12-megapixel rear camera, which has OIS, and is capable of recording up to 4K 30fps. On the right of that is a quad LED dual-tone flash, and a rear microphone. The front camera is a 7-megapixel sensor. Subjectively, photo and video quality is excellent on both the front and rear cameras. Focusing is fast, and image detail is also good. Image processing is natural, and generally looks pleasing and true to life. The same characteristics carry over when it comes to video recording. At 4K 30fps, the video stabilization is great, and does a good job at smoothing out movements, and generally doing so pleasingly without creating any jarring effects. The button layout is familiar on this device to anyone who has used a previous iPhone. On the left-hand side of the device, we have the alert slider and volume rocker, and on the right-hand side, we have the lock button and SIM card slot. Subjectively, the buttons and sliders feel great to touch and interact with, giving nice clicky and tactile feedback. Button placement also feels natural. The home button on the iPhone 7 was redesigned and is no longer a mechanical button, but rather a touch and pressure sensitive area complemented by the Haptic engine. Apple really did a great job with simulating the sensation of a mechanical button with the Haptic engine. And because the home button isn't mechanical, the force required to engage the home button and the sensation received from pressing it can all be tweaked through iOS, allowing the user to tailor the tactile response to their liking. The home button also has Touch ID integrated into it. Both fingerprint recognition and unlocking is instantaneous. Speaking of speed, the iPhone 7 is equipped with the Apple A10 Fusion SoC, consisting of a quad-core CPU setup, a 6-core PowerVR GPU, and 2 gigs of RAM. Spec sheets are not a great way of gauging real-world performance, especially with iPhones. That being said, performance is excellent. The A10 zips through pretty much any workload I can throw at it, and even on the latest iOS 14.5.1, animations are smooth and fast, with rarely any hiccups during UI operation. In-app performance is similarly excellent, and even heavy gaming workloads are handled with ease. When measuring performance with a synthetic workload, Geekbench gives the iPhone 7 a single-core score of around 773, and a multi-core score of around 1407. This is pretty good, and for some context, the iPhone 7 puts out overall scores better than the Galaxy S8, a phone that released a year after the iPhone 7. And if we look at only the single-core score, the iPhone 7 puts out better single-core scores than even the Galaxy S10, a phone that released 2.5 years later. Whilst generally the A10's performance is excellent, for some reason my iPhone 7 can't handle video calls, whether that's on WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, or Skype, With any video call past 15 minutes in length, my iPhone will severely heat up and it will get to the point where it's difficult to even hold the phone, and the video call app crashes, or the entire iPhone freezes. I don't know whether this is an issue specific to my iPhone, or if this is also experienced by other iPhone 7 users. Let me know in the comments section below if you know anything about this. Battery life is the one part of this phone that shows the device's age. My iPhone 7 has 99% battery health, but even then, it's difficult for me to go a full day without charging my iPhone. My general usage is having Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and 3G data on, medium auto brightness, and app-wise I'm mostly using WhatsApp, browsing the internet with Safari, listening to music with Spotify, or watching a couple YouTube videos. With this type of usage, I get usually around 3/4 through the day on a full charge. The few times I do make it throughout the day on a single charge, the battery is pretty much dead by the time I go to bed. My OnePlus 7T Pro, on the other hand, would at the minimum end the day with 30% left, and at the maximum end the day with 50% left, regularly giving me around 1.5 days of usage on a single charge. Perhaps if I use the iPhone more conservatively by disabling data, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth when not needed, then it would get me throughout the day. But I don't want to do that, because I've gotten used to keeping these things on, and have been spoiled by the 7T Pro's excellent battery life. Just to provide some context, I'm coming from a OnePlus 7T Pro, which is pretty much one of the best Android phones you could get in 2020. I bought the iPhone 7 initially as a backup phone, whilst my OnePlus was being repaired. But then even once I got my 7T Pro back, I still didn't switch back to it, and continued using the iPhone 7 as my daily driver for the past 2 weeks. And honestly, I liked it. This is kind of conflicting to me, because as a tech enthusiast, I know on every specification level, the OnePlus 7T Pro is far above and beyond better than the iPhone 7, at least on paper. However, in real-world usage, I'm actually far more satisfied with the user experience I have on the iPhone and iOS. That's not to say that the iPhone 7 is a better device than the OnePlus 7T Pro. However, it does put up a shockingly good fight, which is something you would absolutely not expect a device from 2017 to do. Back to the iPhone 7, this iPhone was the first to feature stereo speakers. The device uses the handset speaker and the bottom firing speaker in tandem with each other in order to provide improved sound quality and volume. The speakers are okay in sound quality, and are capable of reproducing some lowish mid-range response, which is nice to see from a device of this size and age. Volume is also decent, however it's not pleasant to listen to when cranked up to the highest levels, which is something you could say for the majority of smartphones. Later iPhones have much more improved speakers, and even on the Android side of things, my 7T Pro has excellent speaker sound quality. However, voice call quality on the iPhone 7 is superb, both on incoming and outgoing calls. Noise cancellation is great, and the microphones do a great job of cutting out outside noises. Voice quality on an incoming call is similarly great, with no issues. Software-wise, the iPhone 7 is capable of running the latest iOS version, and probably will continue to be able to do so for a few more years. Almost all the software features that the new iPhones get are also available here on the iPhone 7, including things like widgets, app library, shortcuts, picture-in-picture, and more. Features like CarPlay also work perfectly on the device, and GPS navigation and music playback through CarPlay is also responsive and very reliable. Overall, the operating system is very well optimized. The UI and apps on iOS are almost always perfectly crafted to run on iDevices, with the iPhone 7 being no exception. Overall, using and interacting with iOS is a very pleasing, fast, responsive, and interactive user experience. And with updates and additions like Smart Stack and shortcuts, the iPhone is becoming smarter and more capable with each update. In conclusion, the iPhone 7 is an incredible smartphone that still holds its own in 2021. The iPhone 7 had many firsts for Apple and sparked smartphone industry trends that are still adopted to this day. With reliable updates, excellent performance, great cameras, display, and top-notch optimization, the iPhone 7 will continue to be a great budget iOS device for years to come. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. What do you think of the iPhone 7? Is it still worth getting in 2021? Do you still use one? Leave a comment down below and let me know. Hit the like button and the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like this. Thanks guys, and see you later.